Well, we've been talking about some of the trends that are happening in our local real estate market in the last several months, and there have been some things emerging. Inventory has been increasing, days on market has been increasing, giving buyers essentially more choice. But as we enter late fall, early winter, in fact, literally both of us are sitting here with our first snowfall of the season out our windows. I think you think, Jess, that are we going to continue to have a higher inventory and have a balanced market in the winter? Or do you think that the seasonality that is typical, meaning, again, in a classic winter, you would have a drop-off in new listings, a drop-off in transactions. It's more difficult to go out and do stuff. How do you think that's going to happen this winter of 2025, 2026?
I think the normal fall off is inevitable. I think when you have a market where you have a lot of downstate buyers as well, they're just not driving up in the snow. They're not really going to take that risk. This becomes like, okay, we'll look in the spring, we'll look when it's, easier to drive, whatever. Holidays, people are focused on holidays. And something you said, actually, when we went to look at that listing in Oneonta, was that people have to decide now, do you want to be moving in the dead of winter? January and February are pretty gnarly. So I think that we're just going to see a natural slowdown. And then also we have this weird accumulating inventory, which is has been needed, and buyers stepping out and going, let me grab something before the winter, before the holidays. So we're like kind of in this weird anomaly. It's just it's going to move week to week, where the content we're like talking about right now is not even going to be relevant next week. It might change again. So I just feel like we're in this moment of let's grab it, let's do it. And then you have the people that go, I'm already done, I'm already waiting.
I mean, I definitely have conversations with sellers over the last several weeks, month or so, and it already is, let's just hold off until the spring. It's a classic conversation for our area, and that's fine. But I still think it's tricky because there are earnest buyers all winter long, and it isn't like real estate stops. So as a seller of a property, it's a convenience thing rather than a financial thing or a practical thing, I think. And that's it's just difficult. Like, do I want snowy boots tracking through my house every day with the showings, or do I have to shovel my driveway? Or a lot of these second homeowners, it's not as well maintained, or it might be winterized, or there's all these different nuances for every single property. But I do think that in terms of what we talked about just a second ago, like the summer, we built up a kind of a backlog of inventory, available properties. People were listing more. Great, good news for the real estate market around here. But we're also in a market where it takes, on average, close to 2 months to get from contract to close. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, depending on how complex the deal is and all the factors. You go into contract tomorrow, you're not closing most likely until the middle of January 2026. It's going to be blustery and chilly and nasty, probably. So I do think that we will see that inventory drop off, and then there might be a kind of a bigger spike than normal in the spring of 26, because there's already indications that we're working towards a balanced market, higher inventory, higher listings. But if they go on the sidelines as they typically would for the winter, then maybe that spring 2026 is a big pop. We don't know what's going to happen with interest rates and whatnot, but I do feel like buyer demand is pretty consistent at this point. And your everyday real estate will still turn over. There are always people that need to buy, need to sell.
Yes.
But that somewhat discretionary, or somewhat, those people that are like, can we wait 6 months? Sure. Then maybe the choice is to wait on the selling and or the buying side for those people. But winter is always interesting. And of course, every winter is different.
Yeah, we'll see the natural fall off, and then there's this unnatural pent-up inventory that needs to go too. So, and people can't wait anymore. They have been waiting. So again, what we talked about, part of the low inventory issue is they don't want to give up 3.5% mortgage for a 6.5% mortgage. And then also it gets to a point where they're redlining, they got to go.